Hello and welcome to another episode of Four Eyes Academia. Today we have Toods, Estelle, Abby, and Manny.
Hello.
We want to offer our condolences to Kentaro Miura and his family. He died untimely on May the 4th, and it came to light 2 days ago, May the 19th, I think.
Did he die on the 6th?
20th.
Yeah, May 6th he died.
No, was it 6th?
May 6th, yeah.
Sorry, yeah. So he died on May the 6th, and it came to light on May the 20th. He's been an influential figure in manga and anime throughout the world, and he's had a lasting impact on myself and all of the other members of Four Eyes Academia. What are your thoughts?
My introduction to Berserk was, I think I was at uni when I first started reading Berserk, and I think from the very first. No, sorry, I tell a lie. I watched the anime first. And obviously, it's only the 97 anime is only like 25 episodes long, and it's in the middle of the actual story. And by the end of it, you're just sitting there wondering, oh, what's going to happen next? And then I spent quite a lot of time reading the manga. I'm sure we'll get into a bit later. But yeah, my introduction of Berserk was the anime, then I moved on to the manga, and it was a great experience. And just to see how many people are coming out, pouring basically the heart, seeing how much it Kantoro inspired them, how much of an effect it had in his life. It was kind of heartbreaking to see on the day, very heartbreaking actually. And then going online, watching videos of people literally breaking down while they're talking, while they are receiving the news that he passed away, seeing people making montages of his work. It was a very emotional day, not only for people that are a fan of the work, just people who are a fan of anime, manga, or storytelling in general.
How about you, Estelle?
I think Tids and Manny have really just said it best. I don't think I can add anything extra to what they've kind of highlighted, in terms of the impact that Berserk has had. Kentaro Miura's work is just, I think what's really surprised me this week is just seeing the fandom come out on Twitter. So Four Eyes Academia put out a thread early in the week which was beautifully summarizing the work that Berserk is, and as Todd mentioned, the work that it has influenced since its creation, and just seeing all the fans come together and just really showing their appreciation for Kentaro Miura's work was really, really great to see. So it just goes to show you just how widespread the impact of manga series can really have, and there's just how much the type of legacies also that the writers leave behind, kind of creating really impactful works such as Berserk, that we've all kind of luckily had the opportunity to read through, just really experience, not only from Berserk but from some of the other works that have been inspired by it.
As you know, Berserk, when it first starts off, is very, very violent. Then it kind of takes a more somber tone when you go into the friendships with Guts and all the people he meets, his relationship with Casca, his relationship with Griffith, and it was like a roller coaster of emotions, essentially, reading it. And I always felt like there's not many shows, TV shows, books, anime, manga that I've read that could kind of take you on that emotional roller coaster and make you feel so many different things towards so many different characters.
And just to touch on the art, I think the art is the one thing that people are most familiar with Berserk. Even if you haven't read the manga, you've definitely come across a panel or two. And something that Chris mentioned about it being violent, although that's what we mostly see for people that I haven't read the manga or read the story, is that even though it is extremely violent, it's the story underneath it is so great. And initially the whole story is about revenge. That's the basis of it. But the relationships that Guts eventually has, or the past relationship he's I guess trying to regain throughout the whole story, does really hit really differently, and you go through, like Chris said, go through a wave of emotions throughout the whole of Berserk.
It's one of those stories you can start anytime, so I feel like some
anime and manga have an expiry date. Like after some time, you just can't pick it up. But Berserk is timeless. Like you can read it anytime. I started it 2017. Chris started it in secondary school. Manny started it college, uni, I think he said. So it's like it doesn't matter when you start it. You're always gonna love it, no matter what point of your life you start it. Yeah.
Especially for a manga that's over 30 years old. It says a lot on the quality that and the work they put into it.
And it's always the detail. Like when you see those panels, like you know how there's certain manga that are really popular, and then like everyone knows which. There's always like a top 4 panels people would like to tend to associate those mangas. With Berserk, there was plenty. I was like,
yeah,
we had we had spans, we had choice to kind of find our favorite ones, like the one Tuds mentioned about Guts v Griffith. That one is just, you know, like this is Berserk. But just seeing the detailing and art of the others is just always amazing to kind of just think through and flick through the mangas as well.
Yeah, that's true.
The panels in Berserk that I feel often get overlooked are the ones with the demonic beings.
Yes, the monsters.
Oh, they're the best ones.
I saw 3 of the different monsters. They're really cool. The amount of detail.
Yeah.
Like
they're scary, because I remember the first chapter where we meet Zod. I was like, ew, like this is just seriously, this is a monster.
Let's not get twisted. It is a very scary story. I like scary things, but the story is very chilling. Like the monsters, the way they're designed is scary. Like yeah, I agree.
The thing about Berserk, like my favorite panels are probably the ones where you see Guts a bit more emotional, like when you see him smiling. But throughout the whole story of Berserk, you see Guts like constantly trying to minimize other people, constantly saying people are weak, if they're weak they should die, so on and so forth. But in that panel, it just shows how much he actually cares to a degree and how much he's actually hurting. And I think those panels of Guts, when you see him either smiling or really, really upset, are the ones that me personally that hits me a lot more, because it just encapsulates how strong the story really is and how deep Guts' feelings throughout the whole story actually are. It's not just the basic, I'm angry, I want to get revenge. It's like there's so many different layers of Guts' character, and panels like that just bring it home for me.
I made a thread of like all the parts, right? And I remember tweeting like, oh, I love Griffith. Why do people hate him? He's the best person ever. Oh my God, he's amazing. He's such a baby. I love him, right? And then
and you got
everyone was like, what? Like, we'll just keep reading. And I was like, there is nothing this guy can do. Because I mean, in this story, everyone does bad shit. So I'm like, what can he do that's worse than what Guts has already done? You know? So I was like, there's nothing he can do. There's literally nothing he can do that can put me off him like that much. And he did it. He did the worst thing he could possibly do that I couldn't even imagine, right? And I was like, wow. And I think I must have quote tweeted it with the panel that I got to, or maybe it was a reaction pic, I can't remember. But then everyone was like, you see what I mean? And from there I was like, yeah, well, I was wrong, I guess. But yeah, that made it very enjoyable for me. I wish there was a time, I don't know if there was a time that a lot of people were reading Berserk at the same time, but when people are watching things at the same time on social media, it makes the reading or watching experience way better. Like it was the same for Invincible, it was the same for Game of Thrones. Like, oh yeah, it really adds to the, you know, the experience of consuming whatever media you're consuming. So that for me made it a lot more enjoyable.
Something similar to what Abby mentioned is that with a lot of manga I read or anime I read, like a show will have like a really, really great protagonist and an okay antagonist, or a really, really great antagonist or okay protagonist, but the story's still good. With Berserk, like someone can have an argument of them saying that Guts is the favorite protagonist of all time and Griffiths is the favorite antagonist of all time. I think both of them are really of that great quality. I don't think there's any other manga or anime who has a protagonist and antagonist at that level in the same story. And then I think it's just how well fleshed out Griffiths was in the Golden Age arc. Just get an understanding of Griffiths as a character, and then you obviously get to the point of the eclipse of him doing what he does. But not only that, is that we also get a separate story away from Guts that's more focused on Griffiths, and I think that just adds to his character. Obviously Griffith did everything wrong, but he's still a wonderful and well created character, like one of the best characters I've personally had the pleasure of reading on. But yeah, I think that's something, an element of Berserk that I really love, is just how great the antagonist is alongside the protagonist.
Yeah. This is the thing with Griffith. What he did was, by most metrics, incomprehensible. But as the story progresses, you kind of see why